What happened to my hands?
In this episode, I'm going to start some much needed renovations on the exterior of the house. I'm going to start on the second floor of the house, and I'm going to be changing the siding on the front side of the house. The siding on the front of the house has extensive damage. That damage was caused by many typhoons hitting that side of the house. That siding is kind of brittle and old, and that strong wind literally just ripped a chunk of that siding right off the house. So there's an area there that's already exposed, and that's kind of what I was talking about in the previous episode, where some of the weather or rain that's kind of constantly coming in through here, it's hitting that exposed wall and creating damage not only on the outside but also on the wall on the inside. As that wall takes on rain, it starts to absorb that moisture and it swells the inside of the actual house. And because it's made out of sand, it just kind of puffs. So that's become a really big problem that I'm worried about. And even though I didn't have a plan on actually starting the renovation on the exterior, I figured this is a situation that needs my attention.
Join me on my adventure to renovate an old house in Japan. I'm going to use the staple gun to staple the moisture sheet to the wood. I'll use the pin nailer only to hold the boards up in place. I'll hold the board up and then pum! After that, I'll take the drill and drill some holes into the wood, and then I'll secure the boards firmly with stainless steel screws. Just as a precaution, I bought this harness, so this is going to be a body harness. I have my harness line wrapped around. I don't think I'm going to be pulling out this whole wall if I fall. You can see these are my harness leads, so I'm going to tighten that up a little and then hook into that. That way if I slip, I will not be paraplegic. Ripping the old siding was really easy. All I had to do was just tug lightly and the boards came right off. A light gust of wind probably would have done the trick as well.
So you can imagine this little thin piece of brittle wood, and that's the only thing that stands in the way of mud walls. And so when you think about this little piece of wood and you have constant rain and wind hitting it, it's really amazing that the walls aren't actually destroyed completely. When you think about a wall that's made out of sand and hay and rocks, it's not actually going to withstand like many years of this type of treatment. But I'm really surprised that the wall isn't really completely obliterated and dissolved completely. So now is the time, I think, to really do this renovation so that that damage doesn't continue.
This wood here I'm going to replace. It has like a bowingness to it from moisture. I'm going to replace these beams and I'm going to keep that bottom one. I think it looks okay. Just pull these nails out and then I'm going to put the foam board between here and then I'm going to put the moisture barrier sheet over it and then on top of that, the sugiban. Kind of a groove already made there, so I'm gonna see if I can't use that groove to put the wood in. I took the old rear support beams off on the back, and now I have new ones measured. I'm going to replace those. The left side of the Tsunakabe wall looks really eroded. This was the section that was exposed to the elements. If you compare the right side of the wall to the left side, you can see a huge difference. The left side is the one that had all the moisture and the rain hitting it because that portion of the board had fallen off.
That's why the interior, there was damage on the inside as well. I'll use some spray foam I bought to seal these gaps here to give some weather sealing. And then I'm going to cover it with foam insulation, then a moisture sheet, followed by the sugiban boards. Make it airtight and watertight. This is insulation foam spray, and it's a wide spray type. This is the first time I'm using this type of wide mouth spray, and also first time using this brand. So let's give it a try.
Let's try it out. Okay, well, it didn't work.
The pink stuff made a huge mess. It refused to stick to the wall. It literally would just peel off, and it just left me there trying to catch it from falling all over the roof. I was just sitting there trying to catch it with my hands, and it was just falling everywhere. I'm not happy. Some of it stuck, and I ended up using the Loctite Blue Foam. That's an American brand, and it did good in comparison, as you can see. So I injected the edges with the Blue Foam.
Well, that was such a terrible idea. Like, this stuff just kept falling off the wall. I tried to catch it from falling on the actual rooftop, and yeah, and then I'm touching the wall, and then I'm just sticking to everything. Not a good product. I don't know. It's a mess. It didn't stick to anything other than me.
My next step was cutting the insulation foam sheet and then installing it, and then putting that moisture sheet over it. Now that it's done, I can start installing the sugiban boards. I think it's time I decided to make a cutting table. I hate cutting things down on the floor, having to kneel down every single time I need to cut a board. So I'm going to make this table really quickly so that it will help me to make things faster.
So the panels are coming on right now, and I'm applying black caulk to the seams here, so in between the boards. That way no moisture comes in between those as well. Right now they're just being put onto the board. These just with the finish nailer, just to hold them in place, and then after I'm going to drill and screw them in. As you can see on that part there, I've already filled it with caulk just to see how it looks.
That's the sun line slowly creeping down towards me. Even when the sun is out at the horizon, it's still intense. Only 2 hours of non-skin baking time. I'm definitely not going to finish this project in 2 hours, and I don't want to get baked. Sorry, Flappy, you'll just have to wait.
That is the aftermath of putting that siding on.
This is actually, it's kind of a mix between some of that blue Loctite foam, sawdust, and yeah, ash. The project for these 2 days, I had high expectations, of course. Yeah, your ambition is always, I think, a lot bigger than your ability to move fast enough. But I'm happy with the little portion that I accomplished there. My hands are nasty. My fingerprints are everywhere. Basically, what I did was tear the old material out. This was the wood siding that was on the outside wall there. Just to give you an idea of this siding. And you know, when you put black caulk in your hands turn black. Is that true? I don't know. I know what you were doing yesterday. Oh, how'd you know? That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Next episode, we're going to continue doing the outside siding. Now that I have the actual process in my mind and I kind of figured out what I'm going to do, I hope that this process will help me to speed things up and really try to finish this project as quick as possible. One of my main concerns this time was the actual heat outside. The intensity of the sun was really terrible, and so it really limited my amount of time that I could actually focus on that part of the house. Once the sun kind of came around, it was just too intense for me to be on that roof. So I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for next week so that you can actually see the completion of this project and see the before and after. See you then. What are you doing?